space scientists. With the help and support of SGNX Foundation and Helium Labs, we have created an out-of-the-world education series. Our purpose is to connect and collaborate with more people like us so that we can take the next giant leap in space. So, our Astromechanics team is presenting you a very interesting video. But before that, I would like you to know how and where our space exploration started.
Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Okay, we got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
Have you ever wondered that can we live on these exoplanets? Space is beyond our reach. We need some remarkable technologies to reach our goals and put more efforts in the current technology. So without wasting any time, let's head on to the topic, the future of space explorations, by taking the example of a mission called HABEX, the Habitable Exoplanet Observatory. Just by reading this mission's name, we get to know that it's for exploring Earth-like exoplanets in outer space. It will search for habitable conditions such as possibility of water, sensitivity to gases in the atmosphere, possibility indicating biological activity such as ozone or oxygen. Now, let's talk about the components of the HABEX mission. It consists of a large UVOIR telescope. The desired is a 4-meter off-axis unobscured 3-mirror limited at 400 nanometer with wavefront stability on the order of a few tenths of picometers.
Wait, rather than planning colonizing human outside our solar system, did we have any celestial body for colonizing human in our solar system itself? Yes, Titan, the largest moon of Saturn, can be our home in the future. The Titan is very similar to the early Earth and can provide clues to how life originated on the Earth. The ESA Geognos lander acquired atmospheric and surface measurement and it detected the mixture of a hydrocarbon in the atmosphere of the Titan. By the Cassini, the Titan consists of a plentiful nitrogen, ammonia and methane. The evidences also indicate the presence of a liquid water under the surface. To reveal this mystery of a Titan, the NASA is planning to launch the Dragonfly spacecraft, which is an astrobiological mission to the Titan. The Dragonfly will land in the dunes of a southeast of a Selk impact structure at a darker region called as a Shanghai. The Dragonfly will perform controlled flights and vertical takeoff and landing between the location. This flight will allow it to gather samples of different regions. Its flight will be the second successful flight on another celestial body rather than the Earth. Dragonfly will be large quadcopter having a double rotors. These 8 rotors will be in 1 meter in the diameter. It will travel with the speed of a 10 meter per second and can climb altitude of a 4 kilometer. Dragonfly will be having an advantage on a Titan because the Titan have a dense atmosphere and a less gravity. It will be taking a payload like a mass spectrometer to identify the chemical component related to the biological process, the geophysics and meteorological sensors and set of microscopic camera. And during a night of Titans, which lasts for 8 days, it will do activities like a sample collection and analysis.
As you know, Venus is a very hot planet in our solar system. Its surface reaches up to 864 degrees Fahrenheit due to the greenhouse effect, making Venus the hottest planet in our solar system. So, how can we explore Venus? Here's a solution for this. The Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) will be launching the Shukrayaan orbiter to the Venus. The timeline for this mission will be 4 years, and in this time, the orbiter will be studying Venus. ISRO will be launching the orbiter in one of the 2 rockets, which are GSLV Mach 2 or GSLV Mach 3. Now, let's talk about something interesting. There are total 3 broad research areas of interest. These are: first, surface or subsurface stratigraphy and resurfacing processes; second, study of atmospheric chemistry, dynamics and compositional variations; and third, study of solar irradiance and solar wind interaction with Venus ionosphere while studying the structure, composition and dynamics of the atmosphere. In addition to this, Shukrayaan will use inflated balloons to help study the Venusian atmosphere.
After the Venus, let's get a little closer. The Artemis program will be a USA-led international human flight program which will be the first time since 1972 a crewed lunar mission be sent. It was launched in 2017 under the Trump administration. It will send the first woman to moon. Its initial focus will be towards commercializing the mining on the moon. It will also lay the foundation for private companies to build a lunar economy. In April 2021, under the Biden administration, NASA contracted SpaceX to manufacture and develop and fly 2 lunar missions. Maybe till 2030 we will have a settlement on the moon. But still, these missions cost a lot of money for transporting anything to space. Is there any solution for that?
You must be knowing that a rocket needs to attain a velocity of about 40,000 kilometers, which is Earth's escape velocity. And for this purpose, rockets are made less heavier by reducing the weight of the payload. But this is not good in this sense at all. How can we travel to the outer space or even exoplanets with more payload and less fuel? Let's find a solution for this. We need something as a space infrastructure, a structure which consists of a cable and a weight known as a tether. This has been experimented by many labs in different orbits. Now, let's imagine if we put these tethers 100 kilometers long in an orbit. We consider that the tether is spinning in a circle with the help of a counterweight. For protecting the 100 kilometer long wire, we make it from a redundant material. These tethers will make traveling a lot easier than by a rocket. There are some disadvantages such as keeping the momentum steady and maintaining orbital period, but it's way cheaper than fuel-powered rockets. Let's take an interesting example. The journey from Earth to Mars takes about 7 to 9 months. But with Skyhooks, we can reach Mars in about 3 to 4 months. How incredible is that?
The space elevator is said to be a planet-to-space transportation system that rather than using rockets to send objects in space, we use a space elevator. The space elevator would use a cable anchored to the surface which will be directly connected to the tether extending to the orbital station in space. After that, we can use a climber to transport payload to orbital station and release it from there. This would directly cancel the cost needed for the fuel to escape Earth's gravity. This would be a large achievement. Now, we don't have to spend billions to send objects in space. This would enable us to use the same money to improve space exploration. Maybe we will even have orbital trips. This technology can even be built now and is believed to be more feasible than the Skyhook.
What if we transport our whole solar system rather than keeping transportation limiting to the orbit? You may wonder why the transportation of solar system is required, but here's the thing. Our solar system is surrounded by the stars like Eka Pegasi b, which will go supernova. Rather than this, many of the stars are forming around Earth, which can later may go supernova. The supernova are very dangerous and affect our life form on the Earth. They will impact on the Earth's biosphere and the human will no longer exist. The only solution to this is to settle on the exoplanet, but it depends upon the star around which it is orbiting. We have not found stars like a sun which have a perfect habitat. So, what if we moved our entire solar system? Yes, it will save us from the supernova and other dangers, and it can be done by using stellar engines. Stellar engines are a hypothetical megastructure which uses stars' radiation to create a usable energy, and this usable energy is used to produce a thrust and accelerate the star, and indirectly the planets are also get accelerated as they are gravitationally bonded with the star. The stellar engines are of two classes, in which the first class is shadow thrusters, in which consist of a mirror that will reflect back the photons coming from the sun, and it will generate thrust. As our sun releases 10⁻45 photons per second, it will generate enough amount of thrust to move our sun and indirectly our entire solar system. This mirror must be placed on the poles of a sun, because if you place it in any other direction, as it is going to generate enormous amount of heat, it can harm any planet in our solar system. The next class of stellar engine is Kaplan thruster. The Kaplan thruster will have a fundamental same like rockets. The Kaplan thruster required million tons of fuel to move sun. In order to get this, the Kaplan thruster uses electromagnetic field to funnel the hydrogen and helium from the solar wind. But this amount of fuel is insufficient to meet up the requirement, so the Dyson sphere will be used to refocus its energy on the particular region of the sun. Because of heating of a small region, it will release a billion tons of mass, which will separate it into hydrogen and helium and will be used as a fuel. In a fusion reactor, the helium is burned and a jet stream of radioactive oxygen at 1,000,000,000 degrees is expelled out, and that creates a thrust. The collected hydrogen is accelerated in particle accelerator and shooted back to the sun, and this prevents thrusters to crashing in the sun. And because of this, our sun will be in the motion, and in million years it can move our sun by 55 light years. And here the space travel begins.
Now we have moved the stars, but we too want to travel. But you don't want to be bored in your interplanetary voyage, so you use cryosleep. The concept comes from preserving a body by lowering the body temperature to -200 degrees Celsius till either they can be reanimated or cured. From this, the idea of freezing the body still alive to reduce the resources needed for them to survive came from. The current understanding of cryosleep is of keeping the body in a container in which the body is reduced to 35 degrees Celsius to get the user's body in a mild hypothermia, to reduce metabolism, thus requiring less resources to keep them alive. In future, we will inject an anti-freezing agent in the user's cell for preventing them in bursting and expanding and lowering their body temperature to -200 degrees Celsius. Many people have already signed up. I too want to do it.